FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a holiday Wednesday edition of the JP Peterson Show. I'm going solo this morning. Nick Geddes is on an early vacation for the holidays. Happy New Year's to all of you. We got so much to get to today and a jam-packed show. We just ask you for 2 hours of your day. That's all for the best Tampa Bay-centric sports talk anywhere, and we'll prove it again today with a great lineup of guests, so you just won't hear me yakking the whole time. Bruce Gradkowski is going to join us at 10:30 from Pro Football Focus, former Buccaneers quarterback. And we'll talk about the Tom Brady of last week, 18 of 30, very pedestrian for him, but that's how they had to win that game, and what the Bucs look like moving forward without Mike Evans again this week. You know, Rashad Perriman coming back, AB of course coming back this week again. Hopefully, no more COVID tests. Hopefully, and we'll get to that on the Bucs in a little bit. So we'll talk to Bruce Gradkowski about Buccaneers playoff prospects. Rick Odioso, who's the PR director at the Bar Championship, you know him that way. He also works for Fox Sports. He worked for 5 years on the John Madden crew. Just sent me a signed flip card from the last John Madden Pat Summerall broadcast at Fox. So he was part of that. Of course, John Madden passed away last night at the age of 85, an absolute giant, literally, in life and in football. As big a personality and as a big mover and shaker in the game of NFL football, shaped the way the game is played, shaped the way the game is broadcasted, and, of course, brought to life the Madden football game, which really probably taught more people about football than any other institution ever. So his impact on the game has been immense, and Rick Odioso will join us. Another man that worked for him that we hear all the time on our show, James Petrylka, also Fox Sports, will join us at 11:30. So we'll get a great retrospective of what John Madden's life was like and how many people he touched in such a positive way. Dan Lucas will join us at 11 o'clock from WFLA, News Channel 8. We'll talk some Bucks and Bolts with him. Always fun to catch up with Dan Lucas. We'll get his take on the whole AB situation as well. Brian Bradley will join us at 11:15, former Bolts, their first All-Star and leading scorer in the first 4 years. That is Brian Bradley. Always fun to chat with him about last night's win for the Bolts. Another incredible night at Amalie Arena. We'll take you through that whole thing. And as I mentioned, James Petrylka at 11:30. So we are jam-packed with guests today, but we're going to get to all the pertinent topics in the first segment here. And before we get to a lot of the Bolts stuff from last night, what a game, what a comeback for the Bolts last night. Obviously, Montreal was down, 9 players. The Bolts were down Sorelli and Vassie and Elliott. Didn't have any of their top 2 goalies. Maxime Legacé filled in last night. Thought he played pretty well last night. Got his first win. But it's just the relentlessness of this Lightning team. They just don't quit. And how about the return of Braden Point? My God. Was he phenomenal last night? Absolutely incredible. We'll get to some of that sound in our second segment here in just a bit. And we'll hear from Braden Point. We'll hear some of the incredible goal calls. And we'll talk a little bit about the Bolts win last night. But a lot of other news to get to today. As I mentioned, John Madden passed away last night at the age of 85. And just so interesting, in the past month or so, the documentary on his life, the biopic, was released. Tom Rinaldi was the executive producer of it, just did a phenomenal job, as Rinaldi does on all of his projects. I think he's one of the most talented writers and producers in sports television right now, and he was tasked with the enormous responsibility to encapsulate John Madden's life in a documentary. And as he mentioned so many times, I think he reached out to 38 specific people. I mean, the biggest hitters of all the big hitters in football, from Peyton Manning to Tom Brady and everybody else in between. And every one of them was an enthusiastic, yes, I will do it. Let's set it up and let's get it done. All these guys have tremendously busy schedules. It's hard to get on their calendars, but they did. And it's just a testament to who John Madden was. I have one personal anecdote that I can share. I got an opportunity, what an incredible opportunity while I was working at Channel 8 to MC an event with John Madden. He was the keynote speaker at a high school Heisman presentation here in Tampa Bay. And I actually sat next to him for an entire evening and introduced him as the keynote speaker. And we were just sitting there, just, two guys talking football for about an hour and a half as we ate our dinner and the program went on. And I got really a chance to kind of sit down with him in a super informal situation. And he could not have been nicer and just more attentive. I mean, he was just a tremendously, I guess the word to say is just very affable, and so many of these guys, their public personas are big and sometimes in their private life, they are very much introverts. John Madden was not. John Madden was incredible, at least on this evening, he was not. He was just incredibly nice to me, and he mingled with the high school players. It was just a tremendous experience for me. And I'm listening to a lot of the tributes that have been going on for the past couple of days, and like from my little puppy dog here, and obviously a big John Madden fan, plays the video game all the time. But everybody's saying the same thing about how gracious he was with his time and how passionate he was about football. I mean, he completely changed the way broadcasting is done by having production meetings and going over tape and film, and so that the broadcasters were as, up on these games as anybody. Excuse me, I have to take a little sip. And Ronde Barber, of course, did Fox analyst for, I think, 5 or 6 years. And, Ronde brought to the broadcast booth a lot of what John Madden brought to it, and even took it to another level. Ronde would do a scouting report for the entire, and then hand it out to the entire crew, so everybody would know, where his tape study was at and where he thinks the game is going. And Madden was the first one to do that and take it to a whole nother level, and bringing the producers in, bringing in, his play-by-play man, Pat Summerall. And that, I mean, for me growing up watching NFL football, that was the soundtrack of my life. I mean, John Madden and Pat Summerall, that was the soundtrack of my, every Sunday at 4:00, the game of the week, wherever they were from, Oakland, Alameda, County Coliseum, where the Raiders played, obviously, and John Madden was the coach there for 10 years, won a Super Bowl. By the way, best winning percentage of any coach in the history of football, won almost, I think, 75% of his games, just unheard of in the NFL, but only coached for 10 years. I mean, he coached with such a passion that he knew that it was taking a toll on him mentally, physically, emotionally, and he needed to cut it back. So just a giant of a man, and the tributes for him are just probably not enough for his impact on the game. I mean, any of us who, and I'm not a big video game guy. I didn't play a lot of Madden. I've played it a few times in my life. But kids today just know John Madden from the video game. They don't know that he was a coach or even a broadcaster for the most part. But that game, because of the care that he took with it, got a little dry mouth this morning. A lot of decongestants. The game, the care that he took with it and put into it, and it was something that he really wanted to use to teach the finer points of football to the masses. And he explained it so simply and so well, and then, designed the game to be very user-friendly. And then we see what it's become today. And all that, comes and stems from one man, John Madden, just a giant of the business. And I was lucky and privileged to be able to have that one moment with him. And I experienced what so many experienced in this life, just how gracious and wonderful and giant personality that John Madden was, and we miss him, gone at the age of 85. All right, other big news: Buccaneers. Bruce Arians tested positive for COVID yesterday. It's interesting how far we've come with COVID, and I think it's very instructive for us to be optimistic in this moment, because one of the big things I was afraid of, and I think many of us were when the NFL came back last year, was if Bruce Arians were to be exposed to COVID. I mean, a 3-time cancer survivor, Obviously, what is he? 68, I think he's 68 now. Elderly, has lost a lot of weight, but was certainly in that high risk group at the beginning. You think of Tom Moore, 81-year-old Tom Moore. I mean, these were, the issues we were really, really concerned about. And thanks to the vaccines that are really protecting the people in the risk group. And of course, Arians has been a big proponent of the vaccines and the boosters, and it has worked. I mean, it has worked. This is it working right now for us. He is positive for COVID, but it says all he has is a cough, and that's fantastic news. It's fantastic news. So, and this plays across a lot of different things that I'm going to kind of weave through here. And so it's good that obviously the first and foremost is his health, and it's good. The vaccines are working. Harold Godwin will take over as head coach. Now, the quarantine period, the NFL smartly, and I wish the other leagues would follow suit, courageously in some ways, just following the guidelines from the CDC, which I think has been, politicized in many ways, and also they've been late to the party on all the data. They have taken forever to change their protocols, and this one is long overdue as well. So I'm not exactly sure if Bruce can test back in, but I think he can. I texted Nelson Luis, the PR director, and he said, yes, with 5 days now, guys, if they have 2 negative tests, they can test back in. So that means Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, as far as I understand, they can test back in and will be able to play. They've been put on the COVID list as well. So, suddenly, this is going to be an issue for the Buccaneers, even though they are vaccinated and boosted a lot of the players. Clearly, this variant, this Omicron variant, which thankfully is very, very weak and is not causing an overwhelming of the hospital like many people are saying. That's not happening. We firsthand knowledge here here locally, that's not happening. And that's good. And we saw, in South Africa, 25,000 cases of Omicron, not one death. We've only had, I think, one confirmed death from Omicron, and that particular person had multiple comorbidities. So Omicron is not causing serious illness and not causing death because people have natural immunity to it or they're vaccinated. That is a good thing. Listening to many of the doctors about Acharya, Atlas, Reish, all the big hitters that are not politically compromised or do not have political or pharmaceutical motivations to form their opinions. These guys are saying this is a good thing. This is where the virus peters out. This is how it mutates, becomes very mild, so it can sustain itself. So now we're dealing with an Omicron variant that is very, very mild, and we should treat it appropriately. This is not the same strain that killed, quote, 800,000 people here in America. It's not even close. So again, we have to learn, as we're starting to hear from our officials, learn to live with this disease. It's going to be around. We can't start shutting things down and going crazy. What we saw the other night, that football game, the Saints having to play Ian Book and some other games, it's just not necessary. It's not necessary. And this is proof positive. You have a guy in a high-risk group like Bruce Arians who gets COVID. He's not sick. These players are not sick. They are mostly, almost universally asymptomatic. So it's time to move on, and I'm glad that the NFL is showing the way. I wish the NHL would follow. We heard Alex Killorn say yesterday that basically the NHL is being held hostage by the Canadian teams, and they're being held hostage by the Canadian government, which is COVID crazy. They're so over the top on their regulations. It's ridiculous. And if the NHL is going to be held hostage to that, it's going to be a rough season. If they decide to move in the mainstream where the NFL is going, and I think the NBA is going as well, and the other leagues, I think they'll have a much better chance of getting in games and playing more quality games. So for the Bucs anyway, there is a chance that Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, although maybe a less than optimistic chance, could test back in with the new rules, but we will see. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and I get to run the board today too, so we'll see if I can do this with one hand. You guys will be laughing at me. All right, let's see if we can start the bump. Yeah, how about that? All right, there we go. All right, we'll come back. We're going to talk some more Bolts. We'll hear from Braden Point after a tremendous comeback win last night, and a comeback for him as well. Stay with us. Who wants free mobile service? I do, and you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up. JP, Santa, and young Saint Nick Geddes right over here, my partner for the Gold and Diamond Source. You hear that? Christmas music. It's Christmas time. You just popped a question to your lady from the Gold and Diamond Source diamond that you got.
Yes, I did. The Golden Diamond Source, the best place to go get your diamond for an engagement. They helped me out so much. They were so courteous to me for somebody who's so nervous. And it's Christmas time, like you said. If you're thinking about popping the question, you need to go to the Gold and Diamond Source.
It's the Jewelry Supercenter, fully stocked, fully staffed, and yes, just a short drive from downtown Tampa or wherever you're coming from, right there on Ulmerton Road. Avoid the madness at the malls. And whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for that 10-carat custom design, they have it all. 9 jewelers in-house ready to make your dreams come true. Even layaways, 100% interest-free financing up to 5 years. Shop now for your best selection at the Gold and Diamond Source and make your lady wonderfully happy like Nick did. That's absolutely. Shop anytime online at thegoldanddiamond.com. JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com. Attention home buyers or refinance candidates. It is a great time to purchase or refinance. Home values are going through the roof right now. You've got so much equity. Time to tap into that equity, get the cash, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services in Tampa can help you out on all those fronts. I've known Fitz for over 30 years. He's done 3 of my mortgages. In fact, Scott has done over 3,000 loans in the Tampa Bay area. Many of our coaches, athletes, from Bucks to Bulls. And he can save you big money. AMS is a wholesale broker. They will shop your loan to dozens of banks and let them compete. The return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com.
Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for Greenleaf Title. You choose the title company, not the realtor, and it makes a difference. You want a reputable company that will make sure your title is safe and secure. There are a lot of scammers out there right now. So go with a trusted company like Greenleaf Title. Plus, they will close anywhere, folks, and they will send a limo to pick you up to come to the closing. Yep, the great JP Limo Closing is back. All you got to do is give them a call at 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. We'll set up the limo for you. They'll come pick you up. Heck, we even picked up one couple, took them to Black Rock Restaurant, one of our favorite advertisers, and then to the closing. That's how they do it at Greenleaf Title. Great service. Will close anywhere. The lowest fees in the business. 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. That's greenleaftitle.com.
JP, Santa, and young St. Nick Geddes right over here, my partner for the Golden Diamond Source. You hear that? Christmas music. It's Christmas time. You just popped the question to your lady from the Golden Diamond Source diamond that you got.
Yes, I did. The Golden Diamond Source, the best place to go get your diamond for an engagement. They helped me out so much. They were so courteous to me for somebody who was so nervous. And it's Christmas time, like you said. If you're thinking about popping the question, you need to go to the Golden Diamond Source.
It's the Jewelry Supercenter, fully stocked, fully staffed, and yes, just a short drive from downtown Tampa or wherever you're coming from, right there on Ulmerton Road. Avoid the madness at the malls. And whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for that 10-carat custom design, they have it all. 9 jewelers in-house ready to make your dreams come true.
the other day. Explosive, catching the football. I think this offense can still do a lot of good things.
Yeah, AB was he was sharp. I couldn't believe how sharp he was after being off for so long, and kind of explain how they used him in terms of setting up the rest of the passing game, because he, that was the main threat that obviously they had to defend, and that opened up some other things. Even though I think it only had 8 other completions, it opened up the run game and everything else.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and then when defenses want to stack the box to take away the run, then that's when you get one-on-one targets outside. And AB's the type of receiver, you can move him around, have him as your single one-on-one receiver, put him in the slot, put him to the field. It doesn't matter. You have to move him around, stack him with another receiver, give him a good free release. And they've done that at times. And I think Byron Leftwich has done a good job. And so it's cool to see in a sense, AB getting back and Brady and him connecting. A few plays, maybe a little miscommunication, AB a little bit too deep on a few routes, stuff like that. But being off for 3 weeks, getting a solid win against Carolina, you have to be excited about that because you just want to get in a good flow heading into these playoffs.
And Carolina had the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL, and I want to say the Bucs had their way with them, but they were able to run the football. How important do you think is the run game going to be now? Do you think that we'll see more balance with Leftwich? And I also like the fact they ran a jet sweep, they ran a reverse, they got the screen game involved a little bit more, which they didn't do the week before against New Orleans. I thought Leftwich called a much better game, a much more varied game. What do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. And as this team keeps rolling and when you get into the playoffs, it is important to have some type of running game. And you have to do different things. I mean, there's a reason why the Colts are winning a lot of football games right now. They have a good running game, but their screen game is off the charts. They do a good job, getting, Carson Wentz into a rhythm. So no matter what quarterback, I don't care if it's Tom Brady, I don't care if it's Sam Darnold, you got to get your quarterback into a rhythm, into a flow of a game. And that's a coach's job to get him comfortable, get him some completions, get the offense rolling, where it's some easy plays you're going to gain some yards and some momentum. And you see that from the Bucs offense of Byron Leftwich. So you're always trying to adapt and grow, and they got to do what they can. I mean, look, you still have Gronk out there. He was targeted a bunch as well. Only 1 catch, but he'll be a key part of this thing as we go down the line in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I think if the Bucs have 3 of the 4, right? If they have Evans, and I think Evans will be back for the playoffs, Gradkowski and AB, I think they're good, right? Is that enough to win a Super Bowl? I mean, you're going to be playing the best of the best, offenses and defenses. So is that enough firepower? When you add in, hopefully Leonard Fournette or Rojo will be able to carry the running game. We saw something from Sneak Vaughn, big 55-yard touchdown run. He's got some giddy up as well and fresh legs. So is this enough offense, even though you're missing that key component in Godwin?
I definitely think so. I mean, it stinks because you have more firepower when Godwin's out there, but I still think the Bucs offense has enough to get done what it needs to. When you have a solid tight end or 2 that you trust, when you have a good X receiver, defenses have to kind of stop those guys. And then at the same time, as you get that running game going, it can make it tough, and Brady's a mastermind of this game. He's going to find the mismatches. He's been in New England forever, and that's what they did. That's what Josh McDaniels does so well at is finding those mismatches. So they have to do that from now on into the playoffs. And look, they have a favorable schedule to end the season. So I'd expect them to kind of go into the playoffs with a lot of confidence.
Hey, Bruce, and talk about that part of the NFL game, December and January football. Football, you go through a season and you evolve, right? You become you're maybe a different team depending on your personnel. The Bucs will go through that, but Brady has been so consistent in December, 69-17, the best record of any quarterback percentage-wise since 1970. He's 26 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the red zone. That's the best ratio in the last 2 years since he's been here with the Buccaneers. This is a guy that knows how to manage games, right, and win games down the stretch and in the playoffs. What makes him different in that regard?
Well, just you have a different sense of urgency this time of year. I mean, this time of year, what's ahead of You know what you're preparing for, and you have to be playing good football in December, in January, heading into these playoffs. And that's what Tom Brady's used to. It's a different ballgame. It's a different sense of urgency. Just like when you go from the preseason to the regular season, then you go from the regular season to the playoffs. Every step of the way, that the level of competition, the speed of the game raises a notch, and it happens going to the playoffs. So he knows what he's in for. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch his preparation, his mindset, his focus, and he gets the guys around him prepared. And that's really all you could control. Worrying about the things you could control, having your team prepared, heading into these playoffs. And look, I see it all the time. As I study the game throughout the NFL for PFF. Is teams are going to have, and quarterbacks especially, they're going to hit their roadblocks. You're going to have some adversity. You're going to have your low points in the season. You're going to be balling out, have some high points. How can you manage that, but at the end of the day, play more consistent than not? And that's what we miss a lot of times, is the consistency from these young star quarterbacks. That's what's been impressive with Burrow so far this year. You want to see it week in and week out, day in and day out. And Brady has done it year in and year out. And that's why I have so much respect for him. It's not easy to be that consistently good year over year. And it's just a compliment to how he prepares and works.
Yeah, everybody's trying to adjust to what you do, but no one's been able to adjust to what Brady can do, because he can readjust to what you're doing. It's the chess match, and he always wins. Bruce Gradkowski joining us here. All right, you mentioned Joe Burrow. Let's talk about some other quarterbacks. First, let's start with Zach Wilson, who the Bucs will see this weekend. He got a big win last week against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, but he's had a rough season and made a great run. He can do things with his legs, but this Bucs pass rush, even minus Shaq Barrett this week, is going to get after his ass like they did last week. The Bucs pass rush is starting to heat up. How do you think Zach plays this week?
Well, and that's key. I mean, because if they could get some pressure on Zach Wilson, I mean, he's only made 2 big-time throws for us since week 5.
Wow.
And he barely got over 100 yards in a win, against the Jaguars that we know is a, kind of beat up mentally and physically football team. And look, I'm excited to watch where Zach Wilson's progress goes, because he's a young, exciting quarterback. He demonstrates the ability to throw in many different forms and on the run and create plays, and he's got a big-time arm. But it's back to that consistency. When you play a rookie quarterback, you're going to get a few turnovers. You got to get pressure around him and give him some confusing looks. And I think on that sense, the Bucs will be just fine. I think defensively they'll really get after him. And then on the same side too, if you're Tom Brady, if you're the offense, you just want to do your job. You want to protect the football, take care of the ball, because your defense will get you a few. And I think that's what they're up against this week. You just have to play smart, solid football. And like I said, I mean, I think Zach Wilson's so fun to watch. He had a really good run last week, and he does make those dynamic plays. But can he be consistent and make the normal plays, down in and down out?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the Bucs have a good shot to win this week. Talk to me about Joe Burrow and what you saw last week. 525 yards passing. Would have had the singles game record if not for a call overturned in the end zone. Clearly, he was a little ticked off by Wink Martindale saying we're not going to fit him for a gold jacket just yet. This kid, though, looks like the future of the NFL. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, he is, and I saw it in training camp this year. Solomon Wilcox and I, we had Bengals training camp for NFL radio, and, we're interviewing Joe Burrow, and there's just a confidence that comes across, and it's not a cockiness.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's just, I mean, he's poised, believes in himself and his team. And I walked away from that like, man, like I love this dude, but I don't know if the Bengals are there yet. Mm-hmm. And for what he has done this year, and look, his receiving core, I mean, these guys are ballers. I mean, the plays they've been making, it's fun to watch this offense. But it's a compliment to Joe Burrow, man. I mean, he brings a lot of confidence in that locker room. It's the same stuff we talk about with Tom Brady. These quarterbacks that can raise the level of play in the locker room, that's when you win championships. And Brady has done that in his career. Joe Burrow is doing that. And that is what's exciting to see. I mean, the statistics aside, Joe Burrow's a leader. He's a guy that in the locker room they believe in, no matter what the scores, no matter who you're playing. And that says a lot. So it's been fun to watch. I mean, he has our top passing grade now for us at PFF. Him, Kyler Murray second, and your boy Tom Brady third. So we're actually Murray and Brady are tied second for passing grade. But so it's been fun to watch. But I want to see him down the stretch. I want to see these Bengals in the playoffs and see if he can really make some noise.
Bruce Gradkowski joining us here. Matthew Stafford has been through one of those rough patches you were describing. Is he ready for the playoffs? I mean, this is the only thing he hasn't done, right? He's put up big numbers in this league. He's won some big games this year, but it's as we mentioned with Brady, it's a different time now. What are your thoughts on Matthew Stafford with the Rams?
Yeah, this past week he's had some of those ups and downs this year, but that's been his career too in Detroit, and but you kind of have to battle through it, and he's done that at times. It's been fun to watch, but this week he didn't play the cleanest football. I mean, they got away with a win, and it wasn't pretty. I think he wants to take some of those throws back, but anytime you can, come away not playing the greatest and win, that's a good feeling, because then you can really kind of learn from this film. I mean, Stafford came out of that game with 4 turnover-worthy plays and 0 big-time throws for us. So for him in that offense, that's not a good thing. But like I said, I think the coaches can help him as well and get him in a nice little rhythm, because I want to see these Rams. They have to be playing better football heading into these playoffs if they want a shot at that Super Bowl, because that's the reason why they brought Stafford in. So I think Stafford's got to play better ball this time of year heading into the playoffs, and I think the Rams can be dangerous.
Hey, real quick, do you have a John Madden story at all? As he passed away last night at the age of 85, did you ever have any run-ins with the big guy?
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember I was playing for the Raiders, and my wife and I were going to church in San Francisco, and I think it was like a Sunday night. I think it was during the off season, and we're in the back of Mass, and I see this big guy sitting on the pew, his big hands, and I'm like, I got nervous. I was like, Brandon, that's John Madden. It was just like surreal, like to see him in person, and just such a nice, big, humble guy, and for what he has done for the game of football, it's just remarkable. I mean, you talk about the EA Sports, the Madden game, and him calling all the unbelievable games that we listened to growing up. I mean, it was just cool. I mean, when you hear his voice, I think of Sunday football. I think of that, the video games. He is the game. He is the NFL, and saddened to hear the news. But man, what an impact he has made on the game, on people, on coaches, on players. So it's just it's sad. But, man, what a life to live, and what an impact he has made.
He had a full life, no doubt about it. Bruce, listen, have a great New Year's, my friend. We'll chat next week, and as we head into the playoffs, this is going to get fun, man. The Bucs are in the thick of it, and we got and the quarterbacks that are going to be playing, the lead roles here with, I mentioned Stafford and Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes. We're getting the cream of the crop, bro. This is going to be fun to watch. So,
absolutely, my man. Yeah, have a good week. It's exciting once we get down to this playoff football.
All right, partner. We'll chat next week. The great Bruce Gradkowski right there. Appreciate it. As we continue on here with me pushing the right buttons. That one worked. All right, when we come back, Rick Odioso is going to join us. He worked with John Madden in the booth for 5 years. Has some great stories of the big man. So we will chat with him when we come back. Attention home buyers or refinance candidates. It is a great time to purchase or refinance. Home values are going through the roof right now. You've got so much equity, time to tap into that equity, get the cash, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services in Tampa can help you out on all those fronts. I've known Fitz for over 30 years. He's done 3 of my mortgages. In fact, Scott has done over 3,000 loans in the Tampa Bay area for many of our coaches, athletes, from Bucks to Bulls. And he can save you big money. AMS is a wholesale broker. They will shop your loan to dozens of banks and let them compete for your business. Quick story, one listener had a done deal with a big national mortgage company who was promising a 2.75 interest rate. Well, when it came time to lock in, it was 3.25. Emailed Scott, got him the actual 2.75, saved him over $3,000 in first-year payments and $2,200 in lender's fees. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com. JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get
Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock.
This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. You can check him out. All right, let's chat with our good friend Rick Odioso. He is the PR director at the Bar Championship, but also works for Fox Sports and worked with John Madden for 5 years in the booth there. Rick, how are you, my friend? Sorry for your loss. I know it meant a lot to you.
Well, he meant a lot, and it brings back a lot of memories, both from John and the other people we worked with at the time, some of whom are no longer with us as well. So it's kind of interesting.
Well, take us inside the booth. I mean, we've all been listening to the stories, and Tom Rinaldi's documentary. I'm sure you've seen it. Just tremendous. But from your personal side, what can you add being in the booth and working with him so closely?
Well, I don't know that there's much to totally add, because I see a lot of people who are writing about the big picture, about how much he meant to sports broadcasting. And as far as I was concerned, it was just getting from week to week, recounting each week's game. To help you set the picture, I was what they called the statistician, and normally the statistician works for the play-by-play guy. But on that crew, the statistician stood next to John Madden. And so I would write cards with game information on it, usually starting with the basic distance of the play or the distance field goal. And I'd either hold it up and Pat Summerall would look down and see it, or I would hand something to Madden, and he would either hand it on to Summerall or keep it himself to use it himself, or if it wasn't any good, which a lot of them were, they'd end up on the floor in front of them. So, but it was kind of like an editing process. But he was always, to me, he was always cordial and business-like, and then we had a good relationship. Some of the other people on the crew, I would say the phrase would be, he would bust their chops. He was just kind of bored, and he'd say something to get a rise out of them, but he really loved and respected all the members of the crew.
Did you they talk a lot about the production meetings that he brought to television. What can you tell us about that and how it changed the way we watch games?
Oh, that certainly was a tremendous thing, and he used them better than anybody else. Because I would say that back when I was with the Buccaneers in the 90s, usually the people from the network would stroll in on Saturday night, and you'd have to wait around because that was kind of like the only time you might have off. But Saturday afternoon, you'd meet with the production staff, and you'd go over the flip card, and you'd give them notes, and you'd talk to the team. But they weren't usually talking to the players or the coaches themselves. And not to denigrate people in my PR profession, but Madden definitely felt that he could get more out of talking to the individual players and coaches. And he built up some great relationships by doing that. Certainly at that time, we were doing 3 teams, I don't know, out of 16 weeks, 17 weeks, we probably had 12 games that either involved the Packers, the Cowboys, or the 49ers. And so all the people on those teams, he had great relationships with. And I saw where Brett Favre has talked about it, and that certainly was the one. We all knew that when he was having a meeting with Favre, it was going to run over. And then afterwards, you'd say, "Oh, that was so funny. That was so great." All the people who were inside. I was not privy to being inside the meeting. We'd wait outside, and then finally Favre would leave, and we'd go in. And everybody who was inside the meeting was laughing and, "Oh, it's great." But you never could quite figure out what was said. You knew it didn't have much to do with football.
Rick Odioso joining us here, worked with John Madden in the booth for 5 years. What are your best memories of some of those huge games? I mean, to me, Pat Summerall and John Madden, that was the soundtrack of my football youth. Those voices were just, you hear the voices, it just resonated. Oh, this is a big game. It's Sunday afternoon at 4:00. It's must-see TV every week. What was it like being there, and any great stories?
It was always great. And because of where we were, we always had arguably the best seat in the house. I was always on the right 40. He would be on the 50. So I was always on the right 48-yard line. And we saw some great games. I worked 2 Super Bowls with them. The one where the Falcons lost to the Broncos in Miami. And then the last game that he and Pat Summerall ever did, which is a historic game for a number of reasons, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win against the Rams in New Orleans.
Oh.
And as I showed you, I have in my house, I have a card that says Vinatieri 48, and that would be for the 40, letting Summerall know the distance of the field goal, the last play that they would ever do together, the walk-off field goal by Adam Vinatieri. So even as they were wrapping up their career, that's how long ago it was, because Tom Brady was just winning his first Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was
that was also the Spygate week, and we were in the stadium on that Saturday, and I wish I knew where to look. To see obviously they were in there shooting the Rams practice, and I remember looking down and watching the Rams practice, and I'm not sure I would have got that. And I didn't get anything out of it. They were running plays, but I guess the Patriots thought they had something. Yeah,
which you shouldn't be doing, by the way. That was the 9/11 Super Bowl, right? And Brady came back. Was that the right one? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Yes. The Superdome was all locked up. It was hard to get into, and the shopping center was closed across the street, and all kinds of stuff.
Did John Madden even know who U2 was performing at halftime? Was he into popular culture? Or he was just all football? Just all football?
Yes and no. His great thing in life was he loved boxing. So if there was a big boxing match on Saturday night, it would all be arranged that that was like the one time I got to go into the cruiser.
Right. Okay.
That everybody on the crew would go in and watch the fight with him. And as somebody who's kind of indifferent about boxing, it's like, okay. But he knew all about that, and he knew a lot about other stuff too. But I'll defer to others as to how much he knew about popular music.
What about the Madden video game? Did he ever talk about that? Was that something that was really important in his life? Because it really taught so many millions and millions of youngsters about football and how to play football and the strategy of football.
He was very instrumental in fashioning the game and making sure it had real plays and real terminology. And he spent a lot. I mean, I don't know as the years went along how much he was involved in it, but he was vital in the development of it. The story I heard, and I don't, again, others can tell whether it's true or not, is that they went to he and Pat Summerall, and Pat Summerall was paid a fee, and Madden said, "No, I just want $1 for every game that's sold." And 23 years later, that's a lot of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So he always had a knack for making money.
Yeah,
which was kind of amazing. Like when he was a Raiders coach, he got befriended by some of the minority owners. Al Davis wasn't the only owner. He had partners that he eventually squabbled with and bought out. But Madden was friends with some of those guys, and they were real estate developers. And they got Madden involved in real estate. And he was at one time the largest private real estate owner in the state of California, much of it out in Pleasanton, California, which is now developed, which back then was, nothing. He had a bunch of empty land, and it all filled in. And so,
I bet that estate's pretty big. They'll be arguing over for the next few months. Yeah,
right. Between the EA money and the real estate money and all the other stuff, it'd be amazing to see. And he didn't spend a lot of it either. So certainly not on plane tickets.
Saying he was a little tight, huh? Okay. Hey,
I'm just saying he didn't dress in the greatest finery. Right. I always felt that he had like 6 or 7 ties on the bus and one sport coat, a couple pairs of slacks. I mean,
that was about it. It's all you need. It's all you need, right? It's all you need.
Yes, sir.
Before you go, let's talk a little Valspar. How are ticket sales going? And this is going to be, we're moving back to the middle of March, better weather. I think it'll be a tremendous field again. Hype us up a little bit. What's going on with Valspar?
Well, we've got some we are on the cusp of some pretty good announcements in terms of players that we think are going to play in our tournament.
Nice.
I think you can expect most of the guys who have played in recent years, not to say Dustin Johnson, and then Brooks Koepka hasn't actually played in recent years. He's been signed up for the last 2 tournaments. But one time because of an injury and one time because of 9/11, he didn't play. Hopefully he'll be with us. And then I think we might have some surprises with guys that haven't played as much recently. So, I think from a field perspective, it's a crowded time of the year. There's a lot of other great tournaments before us and after us. But the players really like the course, and I think our fans will be very pleased with the field we develop.
All right, I have to ask this by law. Nobody knows what Tiger's schedule is going to be, and I know you're not saying anything official, just 2 guys just talking about a player here. He'd be looking for a flatter course to play, something probably near his home that he likes and has experienced, that almost won a tournament. That kind of means you guys might be in the mix for it. Just I know you can't say anything, publicly but just 2 guys talking golf.
It's nice to dream, JP,
yes.
And I can build that case, but maybe Bay Hill's a little flatter and Honda's a little closer to his home.
True.
He's been involved in the Los Angeles tournament, but that's a very hilly course. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he certainly looks like a guy who's,
he can play.
I didn't watch it, but it sounds like he played just fine.
He played great. Yeah. It's just the stamina of walking, and I don't think he would ever petition to get a cart on the PGA Tour. I just don't think he would want to do that. Everybody would roll out the red carpet to do it for him. But I don't think it's something he wants to do. But we'll see how it all plays out. But we don't need Tiger to have a great tournament. We know that. We don't need him, but we'd love to have him.
That would be a very big cherry on top of the parfait if that would happen.
It would be the whole. It would be the whole parfait.
But it's amazing. I sort of second or third hand heard from somebody that was in the operating room when he had the accident, and they said, "Oh, he'll never play again."
Nope.
And lo and behold, he's playing. I mean, he's playing, and he's playing well. I mean, well enough to put it. I never thought he put his game on display unless it was pretty good, and it was pretty good.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
We'll shall see. All right, partner. Listen, I'm sorry for your loss with John Madden. Thank you so much for the memories. That was awesome. And we'll be talking more as the Valspar gets closer. Thanks, partner.
Always a pleasure talking to you, JP. Thank you.
The great Rick Odioso there. All right, we will take a break. And when we come back, Dan Lucas is going to join us from News Channel 8. And we'll talk some Bucks and Bolts with him. Stay with us. Pga Tours Bar Championship is back in March in 2022, March 14th through the 20th, right in the middle of the best weather of the year and the last stop on the Florida swing. The Bar has become one of the must-do events on the Tampa Bay sports and social calendar, so get your best tickets before they sell out. The game's biggest stars love the Copperhead course in Innisbrook. Last year, we saw Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Wow, the crowds, and another star-studded field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com.
JP, Santa, and young St. Nick Geddes right over here, my partner for the Gold and Diamond Source. You hear that? Christmas music. It's Christmas time. You just popped a question to your lady from the Gold and Diamond Source diamond that you got.
Yes, I did. The Gold and Diamond Source, the best place to go get your diamond for an engagement. They help me
this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com. JP,
Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. Punching this thing like a like an idiot doing the engineering here today. We got Brian Bradley on, I hope, though. What's up, Brad? How are you?
What's up, JP? How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, got you on. I was trying to get Dan Lucas on earlier, but we had a issue with his phone. Actually, it wasn't even on my end. I wasn't even screwing it up. So I know that's shocking to many. Hey, what a game last night, huh? We weren't expecting much. It was kind of an AHL redo there, but that was kind of fun. The crowd was into it. Nice comeback, and welcome back, Braden Point. Didn't look like he had any rust on him, huh?
No, it was actually a really interesting game, entertaining. I mean, with everything going on in the world with COVID and making sure everybody's safe. So, I mean, you know what? It was fun to have hockey back at Amalie last night, and you know what? It delivered. I thought it was an excellent game. Both teams played with a lot of younger guys and, goalies like, Maxime Legacé was our goalie in net. I thought he played well. He was third star in the game, made some good saves, and, thought Montreal played well. Some of the young kids got their first goals ever in the National Hockey League. But, I mean, when you talk about, the Tampa Bay Lightning with Point, Hedman, Killorn, Stamkos. But, Braden Point coming back, he had, 2 goals, 1 assist. He had 3 points. I think he was +3 with 6 shots on goal. I mean, he was just incredible. His speed was on a different level compared to everybody else. And, a nice overtime winner by Platt. But I will say Corey Perry came through again, front of the net, got another garbage goal where he scored with, 20 or 30 seconds to go.
Yeah. 19.7 seconds. You're the man who came on our show right before he went on his run, and you said, Corey Perry's going to be fine. He scores in bunches, and you nailed that one as usual. So he's been a great addition.
Oh yeah, you know what? Corey's played really well. I mean, he started with 1 point in his first so many games, and now he's on fire. So, I mean, you know what? He's a veteran guy, and we've got him in here for a reason and stuff like that. So, I mean, I love the way Corey plays, and he's been around a long time. Won a Stanley Cup with Anaheim. Did everything he's had to do, won an, Olympic gold medal and stuff like that. And, he started off so, and now he's got, I think, 14 points, and 7 goals. I mean, he didn't have a goal in his first 14 games or so, or 15 games, but he's been on fire lately.
You can say that on my show. So we're all digital now, so you can drop an F-bomb if you want. Don't have to, but, don't worry about it. And how about Palat? I mean, this guy is such a glue guy. A lot of people were thinking, when the expansion draft came up, do we need him? Do we not? Blah, blah, blah. Tell the folks out there how important this guy is. And his numbers may not be off the charts, or they've been really good lately. But he just does so much. That big hit last night in overtime set up his goal.
Yeah, you know what? He had the big hit, and, Hedman made a great one-time pass. Stamkos made a good play behind the net by forcing the guy. Kind of bumped the guy from behind. Could have got a penalty maybe, but because Steven Stamkos picked off the puck, Hedman walked in. I mean, made a great pass to Platt, but he's just a workhorse. I mean, Platt is one of those guys every team likes to have. He's great at both ends of the rink. He's reliable. He's like Alex Killorn. He puts pucks in the net. He's not going to be your superstar player. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be like the Kucherov, the points of Stamkos's. But you got to have guys like that. You got to have Platt. You got to have Killorn. You got to have guys like that in your lineup. And I love the way he plays. He's a leader. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. And you know what? He's fun to watch. He's fun to play with. And you know what? He gets the puck to those guys who need to get the puck and create chances. And that's what he does best. He's a workhorse.
Yeah, just a hell of a player. One of our glue guys. And Ross Colton gets a big goal last night again. And where did he learn that slap shot from the dot? That looked very Stamkos-esque, very Kucherov-esque.
Yeah.
How about that thing?
That was a great shot. I mean, you know what? It was just a power play. Or I think just the guy came out of the box. So I don't think our power play was 0 for 4. But,
yeah,
I mean, it was a great play by Stamkos. If you look at the whole play, Stamkos makes a great cross-ice feed to him. And he just one-timed it. I mean, the goalie really didn't have a lot of time to set up. But you know what? Ross Colton, I think he had 5 shots on net last night. He was good. He's got a bullet shot, just like Tyler Radish. I mean, Tyler Radish, one thing I will say, he's got great game, but he didn't have any shots on goal. But you got to get shots on goal if you're going to score in the NHL. But Ross Colton's got a shot. He can use it. He nailed the one-timer. It was a really good shot. I actually thought our penalty killing was outstanding. I don't think Montreal had a goal. They had 4 or 5 power plays. Yeah. But Joseph and Korn, I think they had like 2 or 3 breakaways.
They did.
They each could have scored a couple of goals shorthanded. So, I mean, I thought overall coming back and playing our first game in front of a sold-out crowd, I thought it was outstanding. I thought the effort was there. You know, it was good to see some young kids. It's good to see, you know, Legacé and net, you know, making some big saves. You know, what he had, 31 shots on goal, made 27 saves or something. But, I mean, it was a great game. It was entertaining. And, you know, to get the win and to score in overtime in front of the crowd with everything going on with Christmas season, I thought it was a great game. Fun to watch.
Yeah, the place was electric last night in the finish. And what is with the Lightning in the 6-on-5? I mean, this is what, the sixth time I think they've had an extra attacker. I think I heard Michigan say it, and they've scored, and they won 8 games in overtime. I mean, this team is made for late in the game. Whatever they're doing, it's working. What are they doing?
Yeah, they're just getting, you know, I think one of the things is, you know what, they've really changed their game around, JP, and I'll say this, they now know how to win. Yeah. They won the Stanley Cup back-to-back, so I think when they learned how to win the Stanley Cup the first time and then they did it again, they don't panic. They're so controlled out there. Hedman gets the puck to Stamkos. They go make a right play. They're not just firing it on net and doing a, you know, Hail Mary play up, trying for a shot on goal. They're taking their time. They're setting it up. They're moving the DVD. They're spreading the team out. They look really composed on the 6-on-5. You know, it goes from D to D, over to Hedman, down to Stamkos, who everybody thinks going to one-time it, passes in front to Point. Point looks like he's going to shoot, takes a backhand shot, goes behind the net, hits Corey Perry up front. I mean, it was just a lot of, you know, a lot of plays that were just from a team that knows how to win. And you know what? That's what they did. They took their time. They played smart. They didn't panic. They made the smart hockey play, and they got rewarded.
Brian Bradley joining us here, Lightning first All-Star, leading scorer those first few years. Now, as we move forward, we got a couple more games this week, hopefully. But it appears that the Canadian government, because Killorn mentioned this yesterday, we've been talking about it as well, they're not budging on their COVID protocols, even though everybody else can see that this Omicron variant is very mild. The vaccines are working. Our players are vaxxed, boosted, everything, but yet they're still having to sit out 10 days and they're not sick. What do you think? Are you hearing anything from the players? Any frustration? And what the hell are the NHL? Are they just going to be beholden to the Canadian government? Do you think, what's going to happen with this? Any idea?
Well, you know what? That's a loaded question, JP.
Yes, it is.
At the end of the day, I think Canada has to be careful, I guess. They're just trying to make the right call. I mean, I think, you know, it was 10 days now. It's the CDC went down to 5 days now in the United States. But the problem is when you look at it, if Canada says it's 10 and we say we're 5, I mean, it's an unfair advantage when you look at it.
Absolutely.
So if the Canadian teams, guys get tested, 2 or 3 players, they have COVID, they got to sit out 10 days, but we only have 5. I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to have to change it at some point because the guys are asymptomatic. They could play right now. I mean, look at the NFL and look at what they're doing. If they're asymptomatic, they could play. I think the same in the NBA. But I think one of the things the owners are having a problem with, JP, is it's been a crazy world the last 2 years, and the owners in the NHL don't want to play the games without fans. I mean, when you're talking about Toronto, where they lose $3.5 to $4 million a game with no fans in the building, that's a tough thing to swallow for an owner. And like Ottawa or Winnipeg might only lose 3,000, but Toronto, because it's, you know, the crowds and the ticket prices are more expensive.
Yeah.
When you're talking $3 or $4 million per game, when you're paying the players to go play,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough thing. I understand what they're trying to do, but I mean, we've all got to be careful. I mean, obviously we got to set some games aside in February because, obviously they got to have makeup days because that's what the owners want. They want to play these games, but
with fans.
Some of the buildings are 50% full and some are like Montreal and Winnipeg, no fans. So like the owner in those two cities, he doesn't want to play any games. Like it's not a win-win for him. I mean, the players, they get part of the gate. So I understand what's going on. I think this is going to take 2, 3, 4 weeks to blow through Omicron.
Yep.
It's not as bad as it was before. I mean, obviously you can tell we went from 10 days to 5. I think a lot of people don't know if they have the flu, the cold, or they have Omicron.
Absolutely.
The symptoms are so similar. And like I said, a lot of guys you talk to on the Lightning, they don't have any symptoms. They actually feel really good, but they can't play. And at the end of the day, it's a tough decision. And you know what? That we just got to hopefully we can move these numbers down. And I think we will. It's going to pass by like it has around the world in some of these places.
Yeah.
But we're in it right now. We'll get through it. And like I said, but I understand what's going on in Canada because with no fans, it's not a win situation for any owner up there.
No, it's great points that you make there. Just that, the Canadian government's going to be very, ultra cautious or ultra controllable, however you want to look at that. And, it sucks. I asked Stamkos about the Olympics the other day. And, I asked him, would it be cool if somebody set up the Olympic tournament here in America, which they could obviously do. I mean, the teams are basically picked or all the infrastructure's in place. There's a hole in the schedule. Most of the players are coming from the NHL anyway. Much easier to do it here in the United States. You can televise it as part of the Olympics. You'd make a ton of money. I don't know why we just don't make that happen. But I guess the NHL is really more focused now on getting their games in.
Yeah, they have to get the games in. I mean, no one saw this coming. And you know what? When it started in, I guess, South Africa, it was there rampant for like 2 or 3 weeks, and it's kind of died right down. And spiked up.
Nobody died.
It went down to nothing. And we're in that right now. So we're a couple of weeks behind everybody. And in winter months in Canada and different places up north, it's different. But I mean, the Olympic Games are special. I played in the Olympics in '88 for Team Canada. I mean, it's something I'll never forget being an Olympian. But at the end of the day, I don't think it would have the same thing it would be if you're not at the Olympics with the ceremonies, the other athletes, the village, all the different things they have there. It's a really neat experience. I mean, you could do a World Cup of hockey like they did before, but I just don't think it's feasible. And for the NHL not to go, they got to get these games in because right now, the good thing for the Lightning, we played in Canada. We played twice in Toronto, twice in Ottawa, and then twice in Montreal. So I think we're done with Canada. We go to Western Canada, like Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver. Well, I'm in Seattle on a trip, but that's not till March where I think everything will be back to normal.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's a good
some
point.
of these other teams right now, it's kind of tough. I don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, I know the Montreal Canadiens right now are happy they're in Florida because they can't wait to get out of Montreal with the snow, the cold, But this is a great place to come to.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned that, Bratz, because now it appears that, if they make up the games in that 2-week window that was for the playoffs or 3-week windows or for the Olympics, and the Bolts have already done most of their Canadian trips, then they'll have a lot of time off, which will get them rested for the playoffs, which is freaking awesome. So we can look down the road as
100%.
Being an advantage. Yeah. So we shall see.
I mean, obviously, Brady Point comes back, and then now we've got, Kucherov's, he's within a week away from playing from what I've heard. So, I mean, that's a huge addition too. So any time you're talking about, marquee players, I mean, like those two guys, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, it's good to see. I mean, it was fun to watch some of these goalies last night who haven't played games and without Vasilevsky and stuff like that in goal, but they played well. It was a great game. I thought the whole thing was outstanding and it was very entertaining, JP.
They got their money's worth. Ain't no doubt about that. They may not be getting their money's worth in other places, but you do when you come to Emily. Hey, and we're going to spend New Year's Eve together. We got a game on New Year's Eve. The Rangers in town, huh?
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. You know what? I mean, the Rangers are one of those dark horses this year.
Yeah.
No one expected them to do much, but I can tell you one thing. They've got a great coach. I played with Gerard Gallant here in Tampa for about a year or two with the Lightning. He did a great job in Las Vegas when he was there. And you know what? Their first year, they almost won a cup. I mean, they're very well coached. They got some great young players. It's going to be exciting to see. I am looking forward to that game. I don't think they have a lot of guys on the COVID protocol like we do. So let's see what happens this weekend. But you know what? We're inching closer to the new year. And Kucherov coming back. And you know what? Rest up our players for the second half of the season, and let's go for 3 in a row.
Let's go. Let's go, Bolts. All right, Brad, it's good to talk to you, man. I'll see you New Year's Eve, partner. Save me some champagne.
You betcha. We'll be there.
All right. All right.
Sounds like a plan. I'm in.
All right. Appreciate it. Brian Bradley right there. All right. Quick break. And when we come back, we're going to chat with James Petrylka, who also work with John Madden, and we'll talk some football with him. Buccaneers, as they get set to take on the Jets and the rest of the NFL. Fox Sports, James Petrylka. When we come back, stay with us. Attention home buyers or refinance candidates. It is a great time to purchase or refinance. Home values are going through the roof right now. You've got so much equity, time to tap into that equity, get the cash, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services in Tampa can help you out on all those fronts. I've known Fitz for over 30 years. He's done 3 of my mortgages. In fact, Scott has done over 3,000 loans in the Tampa Bay area for many of our coaches, athletes, from Bucks to Bulls. And he can save you big money. AMS is a wholesale broker. They will shop your loan to dozens of banks and let them compete. Field is expected again this year. Sam Burns took the title and will defend again at the Copperhead. This will be a full tournament with the return of Valspar Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com. JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com.
Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for Greenleaf Title. You choose the title company, not the realtor, and it makes a difference. You want a reputable company that will make sure your title is safe and secure. There are a lot of scammers out there right now, so go with a trusted company like Greenleaf Title. Plus, they will close anywhere, folks, and they will send a limo to pick you up to come to the closing. Yep, the great JP Limo Closing is back. All you got to do is give them a call at 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. We'll set up the limo for you. They'll come pick you up. Heck, we even picked up one couple, took them to Black Rock Restaurant, one of our favorite advertisers, and then to the closing. That's how they do it at Greenleaf Title. Great service. Will close anywhere. The lowest fees in the business. 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. That's greenleaftitle.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. We are brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. You can reach him there if you have any issues with your home builder or your homeowner's insurance. He will take care of you and fight for you. PalermoPA.com. All right, I want to welcome in our good friend James Petrylka from Fox Sports in the booth, who also has some John Madden stories for us from days he worked back with the Detroit Lions. What's up, James? How are you?
I'm good, JP. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. You also have the Bucs this week, you and your team.
That's right. Yep, Bucs and the Jets. The first, this is the first regular season Bucs game we've had this year.
And it's not even in Tampa Bay. You got to go all the way up to New York.
Yeah.
Watch yourself up there. Heard crime's going crazy up there. Be safe. Be safe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, bring your vaccine card too.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about John Madden. You were able to work with him back in the day when you were PR for the Lions.
Right.
Tell us how he changed the game in terms of production meetings and how the NFL is displayed on TV.
Yeah, so to take a step back, I think, JP, people our age and a little bit older kind of, remember him. He was a coach. I think a lot of, the younger people don't necessarily remember that part of his career. And he was a great coach.
Yeah.
Obviously won a Super Bowl with the Raiders. They had some great teams, had a couple tough, playoff losses. I mean, in fact, he is the first coach ever in the NFL to win 100 games in his first 10 seasons.
Yeah.
And
that was in a 14-game season.
Coach. Yeah.
Yep.
And then when he got into broadcasting, he approached it like a coach preparing for a game. And, that was one of the first things, the first time I was around him when he came in to do one of our games, Thanksgiving game, was just how he approached it. His, watching film, meeting with players, how meticulous he was. And that's what, he started the production meetings where you meet with players, you meet with coaches and talk to them about, what's going to, the game and situations. And there was a story he told about when he first started doing it, where there's Bill Parcells early in his career with the Giants. And Parcells was kind of like, well, I don't know how much I want to say to you. You're going to tell the other team what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, do you expect me to tell you what they told me? What the other coach told me? And Parcells said, no. He said, okay, so I'm not going to tell them what you tell me. So the confidentiality was kind of a bridge that he had to get through, because coaches were a little bit reticent to give out too much information. So that evolved, and now everybody does that, and that just gives so much more insight into the game. And as a viewer, you can see, look, they're trying to attack the corner on this side, or they feel they can run the ball to the right against this defense and things like that, and personalities of the players and coaches too that come through. So I think that's the huge impact on how broadcasting and how the game is televised.
That is so interesting too, because I at some point somebody had to broach that part of the confidentiality and had to have confidence that they weren't going to give instrumental information to the other team. And when you have a guy like John Madden, you trust him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big part of it. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a man working with him, what were your impressions of him and how, he treated your coaches and players, et cetera?
Yeah, he was, very, at times he was the kind of the gregarious guy you see on TV, and he was funny, and, he could be real serious at times too. But, always respectful, always, remembered, I'd see him maybe 3-4 times a year when he'd do our games, and, myself, other people on our staff, always remembered our names, and was always, would talk and,
nice.
Very gracious and, appreciative of things. It was fun sitting in on production meetings. There were a couple that were kind of interesting that stood out. One was we're meeting with Chris Spielman,
Mm-hmm.
And, Chris talked about, how our season was going. And he said, something along the lines of, hey, you're as good as your last game. It's what have you done for me lately? And he said to Madden, he said, well, Coach, what about you? You won the Super Bowl. What did you do the next year? And man, his eyes lit up, and he said, I'll tell you what we did the next year. We went to Denver in the AFC Championship game, and that blankety-blank scored a touchdown, but he fumbled the ball at the blanking 1 yard line, and the blanking officials gave him a touchdown. And that's what we did. And he went on and followed him across the hall. And
oh, my God.
About and it was funny. And there were a couple interesting ones, too, with Barry Sanders. So one was, they talked for a little while, and then Barry said, Coach, let me ask you a couple questions. And he said, I've always wondered, what's Al Davis like? and then kind of, was taken, but he got emotional. He said, great guy, the best. And he said, has done so much for people. A lot of people don't even know, helping former players out financially, or guys who are down on their luck and struggling, and all the different things he's done for people. He's the, greatest man. And he choked up. He really got emotional talking about Al Davis.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. Another one with Barry, his contract was kind of coming up. They were talking about renegotiating, and, Barry kind of didn't really want to talk about it. And he said, what about your contract? And so Barry just kind of laughed and said, well, Coach, I just want $1 less than you, and I'll be happy. and man, he stopped him in his tracks. Man's like, wow. He said, you got me. He said, that's good.
Yeah.
He said, it's easy to talk about money and contracts when it's somebody else.
This is money, yeah.
It's not so easy to talk about your own contract.
Yeah.
And he remember that. In fact, the next year at the Fox seminar, someone told me that he brought that up. And how, it's easy to talk about money when it's somebody else's, but not yours.
Money.
And keep that in mind. So that was pretty cool. And I was fortunate too, when they would come in to do games, I would sit with them and watch film. They would watch our film or watch the opponent's film. And I was able to, I'd sit in with them and just absorbing the football, knowledge from him and his observations. And it was a lot of fun. And there's one actually tying into the Bucks. We were playing on Thanksgiving, and we were playing the Bears. In the previous game, the Bears had played the Bucks in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So he was watching the Bucks Bears film, and there was a play where Warwick Dunn it was a passing play, and he ran 30 yards downfield and made a block to keep, let the receiver keep running. And so, Madden said, he's like, wow, that was a heck of a play. And he ran it back. He goes, look at that play by Warwick Dunn. 30 yards downfield to make a block. He said, that's the kind of play that gets you on the All Madden team.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, sure enough, when Dunn was on the team, and I watched the All Madden show, and that was the play his Warwick Dunn, and that was the play that they showed.
How about that?
As his highlight. So just recall that kind of stuff
he knew the game.
It was
man.
pretty interesting. It was fun.
He really knew the game really well. James, that's good stuff, man. I appreciate your time. And you guys got the Bucks this week. Have you done any study on that yet?
Just a little bit. I think the Bucks seem to, if they stay healthy, that's going to be the big question for them, I think, coming down. The Jets seem to be playing a little bit better, but I still, the Bucks are just going to have too much for them. But health is going to be the big thing for the Bucks, coming down the stretch, I think.
Yeah, I do too. That's going to determine everything if they get those guys back. All right, my friend, have a great New Year's. Thanks for those recollections. Really cool stuff. And we'll chat with you next week. Enjoy New York.
JP, thanks.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, we'll take another break here. And when we come back, Jim McVay is going to join us from the Outback Bowl. They've got a nice little game coming up here this week with Arkansas and Penn State. So we will chat with him next. Stay with us.
Catch the JP Peterson Show Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, check out the podcast section.
Not what I wanted. Attention home buyers or refinance candidates. It is a great time to purchase or refinance. Home values are going through the roof right now. You've got so much equity. Time to tap into that equity, get the cash, and make sure you're making the right financial decisions in your life. Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage.
Live, our free Saturday concert featuring Chris Young and Big and Rich, and other amenities including Chameleon Cove, the Hooters Owl's Nest, the Publix Chill Lounge, and other hospitality venues. Go to ValsparChampionship.com for tickets. The best premium hospitality areas will sell out, so don't wait. That's ValsparChampionship.com. JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com.
Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. We're going to welcome in the great Grand Poobah of the Outback Bowl. He is Jim McVay, and he joins us now. What's up, Jim? How are you, my friend?
JP, what is a poobah?
It's, the old Fred Flintstone thing, from the Moose Lodge. He was the Grand Poobah.
The Moose Lodge.
Yeah, the Moose Lodge. Remember he and Barney? Yeah, they're the Grand Poobah.
Absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
no, that was terrific. I remember those shows vividly. I shouldn't admit it.
Right?
Hey, we are
best.
doing great, JP. It's good to be on your show. I appreciate this.
Thanks so much for coming on. Big matchup, man. It is the only way to start the year. I do it every year. It's the Outback Bowl, New Year's Day. It's noon. It's on ESPN. It's the biggest and the best bowl game of the day. Almost every year, it's an exciting event. I don't know how you do that. Maybe you pay off the officials to make it close. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, partner. Whatever you're doing, keep doing what you're doing.
Just keep it close. We want one score down to the final minute. I tell you, hey, JP, this may be one of those. Arkansas is a really good SEC team. They almost beat Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, they got players stacked, and they got a bunch of horses. And Penn State is one of those blue blood schools that has the kind of players that the Ohio States and Michigans and, all those big guys have. Their quarterback is healthy now, and that did not help them during the season, but he's back. They're a big, tough team with a lot of pride, and the Big Ten wants to beat the SEC team.
Oh, yeah.
Arkansas, they want to get Penn State. So I'm ready for kickoff. I want to see this.
The SEC 0-4 in bowls. So, Arkansas better step up. I mean, they got to do something.
Yep. This is you just never know.
Right.
You just never know. They have two teams in the playoffs, and the SEC is just loaded.
They're loaded.
It's just the way they are. Now they're going to have Texas and Oklahoma, coming in whenever that might be. Big Ten, they have a bunch. Ohio State's, Michigan's, Penn State's, Wisconsin's, Iowa. So these are the right conferences to have in the Outback Bowl every year.
Yeah, no question. You guys have been done a great job of keeping that premier matchup. College football, boy, I tell you what, right now it is in flux, no doubt about it. You got two very interesting coaches as well in James Franklin and Sam Pitman, who's brought Arkansas back. Yep. First, James Franklin. I mean, you want to talk about classy guys, just the epitome of what college football should be about. Love that guy. I was hoping FSU was going to hire him a few years back, but he's staying put at Penn State. 10 years, $95 million guaranteed. He's one of the best in the business. Your thoughts on him, getting to know him?
The only thing he asked for when Penn State was redoing his deal, it said he wanted a JP deal. He wants a 10-year, $95 million.
If only.
He said, I want the JP Peterson deal.
Right.
So he's got the same deal you have. He's one of those guys. Everybody loves him. He's a smart coach. He's a successful guy. He has the right demeanor. He's just one of those guys. And the money for head coaches, it just keeps escalating. And that's, and that's what the market is.
Yep.
The market is what the market is.
Yep.
And these guys deserve it. And they are under constant stress and pressure to win every game. For the boosters and alumni, they got to deal with all that. So, God bless him. We're thrilled to have him in the Outback Bowl heading up Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Pitman is a cool guy, too.
Yeah.
The players love Sam Pitman. He was an offensive line coach forever. He takes over as a head coach, and now he's got these guys playing like they're world beaters at Arkansas. Now, they have a bunch of good players.
They do.
They got a bunch of good football players. You watch them. You watch as many games as I do.
Yeah.
They're good.
Well, they roasted Texas A&M.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, they beat Texas A&M by a couple scores. And they've had a really resurgent year. And he's got, those offensive line coaches are always a little quirky. They're the crazy ones. But they're special. He's one of those guys.
There's something about him. Hey, when you have to get the attention of guys that are 6'6", 300 pounds, and get them to listen to you and take the coaching on. You better know how to communicate with these players. And these are big, tough guys. So he's special. He's a fun guy. He's been A+ to deal with all week. The same with James Franklin. The guys are having a great time. And thank you for making the weather be what it is,
of course.
JP. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell folks how they can get their tickets, what all the other accoutrements. We got a parade in Ybor. We got a beach day. We got a whole bunch of stuff that they can get involved in. It's so fun. The bands are out there. The cheerleaders are out there. If you want to, it's free to go to some of these events. What's going on? How can people get involved?
Absolutely. The players are going to be in Busch Gardens today.
Nice.
Having a good time. Then tomorrow they'll be at Beach Day, Clearwater Beach at the Clearwater Beach Hilton. The bands, the cheerleaders, the fans, everybody's going to be out on Clearwater Beach, and the weather's going to be just like today. Then the next day, of course, we have our parade in Ybor City. So that's a big fun event with the college bands, high school bands, and all kinds of floats. It's just a fun time showing off one of the cool areas in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah.
JP, our job is to create an economic impact in the community. Our job is to fill up the hotels, restaurants, nightclubs. We're doing that with these fans. They're coming in. They're staying in our community. They're getting to see how cool the Tampa Bay area is transitioning. This really is a neat place to be right now.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And JP, we're giving that $500,000 to charity again this year.
Wow.
From the Outback Bowl.
That's awesome.
The needy nonprofits. And that's something that we're very proud of.
Hey, before you go, real quick, if this college football playoff expands to 12, does the Outback Bowl become a quarterfinal game, or are they going to do these games on campus? How much more will you guys be involved? What's your thoughts on it?
Let me tell you, you know as much about what's going on as anybody. And none of us know anything.
Yeah, true.
They don't know if it's 12 teams, 8 teams, stay at 4 teams. They just don't know. They can't decide if they want to have some of the games on campus. They don't know if they want to have all bowls leading up to the championship game. We are in a waiting period.
Okay.
We're waiting to see what direction they go. And, when you get all these conference commissioners and the Notre Dame guy, they can't agree on what zone they're in or what city they're in. Sometimes.
What would your recommendation be?
These guys have. I don't know. I don't know what's best for everybody. I don't know what the player's position is yet.
Right.
We don't know, how it's going to affect everybody from a TV standpoint. There's going to be more money, and more money is good for the universities. So there's just so many uncertainties.
Yeah.
And, as soon as the SEC took Texas and Oklahoma, all of a sudden any conversation about the playoff was put on hold for a few minutes while the conferences got a chance to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, true.
So we shall see.
We shall see.
I just don't know, and I don't throw something out there.
I got you.
I may not be anywhere close.
I got you. Well, listen, I know this. I'm going to be there at 11 o'clock on Saturday, right? Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah,
Saturday.
All the days are coming together.
Outback Bowl.
Get my coconut shrimp, get my steak, get my baked potato, and watch some great football. It's the best there is. Thanks, buddy.
What else is there in life?
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Food.
That's all you need. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow night, too.
Okay, JP.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, thanks, man.
Great Jim McVay there from the Outback Bowl. All right, well, we got through it, folks, with JP pushing the buttons here today. I hope it wasn't too laborious for you. We got some great information. Of course, we got some great guests out there as well. We really appreciate you joining us. Remember, you can always listen to us. Download the app. That's the easiest way. Tap that app. You can hear us middays, afternoon drive, in the morning, whenever you want to listen to us, so you don't have to miss any shows. And listen, have a great New Year's. We're going to be off the next couple of days, so have a great New Year's, folks. Enjoy all the games, and we will be back with another live show on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.